Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the consent form I won't sign, the consent form that closed my long-term disability claim. This is the form I'm referring to. It's called the Service Canada Insurer Disability Benefits Retroactive Payment and Information Sharing Consent. My long-term disability insurance company calls it a different name. They call it the 1618 AB CPP Authorization Form. Whew, those are quite the mouthfuls. So in this video, I will call it the 1618 Consent Form. It has 2 pages, and I have several concerns with this form. The first page is to identify who the insurer is and who the client is. The second page is for consent. Consent has 2 parts, Part A and B. Consent A is to allow Service Canada to pay retro amounts directly to your insurer. If you're approved, shouldn't any money you're entitled to be paid directly to you? Obviously, if you receive an overpayment that you're not entitled to have, you will need to reimburse as applicable. That's your responsibility. But that doesn't mean your insurance company should withhold your entitlements to force consent. Remember, laws are already in place. If it was law, they wouldn't need your consent. The form indicates your consent is irrevocable. Irrevocable means that you can't change or cancel it later. But signing this consent form doesn't guarantee your other disability benefits will continue. So if you sign this form in good faith, and your LTD payer still cuts you off, then you're out both incomes, and you can't change or rescind your consent because it's irrevocable. I wonder, on whose authority is it irrevocable? Well, guess what? It's on your authority. This is a consent form. The form says it's irrevocable. So if you sign it, it means you're giving consent that your consent is irrevocable. This reminds me of the class action lawsuit against ICBC and MSP. The lawsuit is filed in the BC Supreme Court and alleges that ICBC and the BC government were engaged in an illegal scheme to divert hundreds of millions of dollars, resulting in losses to accident victims and driving insurance rates up. I'll link this article in the description. Do you think Service Canada and private insurance companies are involved in a similar scheme? Let me know what you think in the comments below. What if you want to stay in control of your consent? What if you want to have some conditions of your own? Like, for example, that your consent is given on the condition that your insurer continues to pay you. In the last few years, I started changing the way I complete forms. I cross out things I don't agree to, and I add things. I talk about consent forms in a prior video. I'll link that in the description box. Consent B is to allow Service Canada and your insurer to communicate disability benefit information with each other. It specifies what information will be shared. It says your insurer will provide the following information. Your insurance policy. Well, that's a document that details the terms and conditions of the insurance. There's no personal or medical information on it. Your client identification number. That's just a number so they can identify you. They will also provide the date when your disability insurance benefit started. Seems pretty simple, right? Wrong. If this simple information is needed, well, I can do it. So why aren't these questions on the CPP disability application form? It's already 19 pages. A few more questions for me to answer won't hurt. If this statement is true, that these are the only things the insurer will share with Service Canada, then why does the letter from my LTD insurer say this? That they will send a copy of all medical reports and other relevant information. a copy of my medical file, a copy of my complete medical file to Service Canada. In Section C7 of the CPP Disability Application Form, why does it say, for Service Canada to receive your medical information from your insurance company or provincial territorial agent, you must contact them to authorize them to send them your medical information? Notice this section also talks about reimbursement of retroactive payments and signing a consent form. So Section C7 seems to be referring to both Consent A and Consent B of the 1618 consent form. So why doesn't the 1618 consent form indicate medical information and personal information will also be shared? I find it very interesting that my LTD insurer cut me off and closed my LTD claim only because I won't sign this consent form. But notice here in the letter from my LTD insurer, it says, when I provide confirmation that I have applied for CPP disability, they will consider that to be my authorization to send my medical information to Service Canada. Well, which is it? They either need my consent or they don't. Which one? It's not both. Also notice here it says Service Canada will require copies of my complete medical file. Well, if that's true, why doesn't the CPP disability application form indicate that, so you can ask your doctor to take care of it, instead of them having to complete a medical report and charging you up to $170 for it? Shouldn't your medical information come directly from your doctor and not secondhand from the insurer? In a prior video, I talk about medical forms, fees, and criteria. I'll link that video in the description box as well. It says that if CPP disability is approved, Service Canada will provide the insurer the following information: the effective date of CPP disability benefits, the month you receive your first payment, and the monthly amount of your CPP disability benefit. Seems pretty simple, right? Well, if this statement is true, that these items are the only things that Service Canada can share with the insurer, then why does page 18 of the CPP disability application form state that the personal information you provide may be shared with government agencies, federal and provincial, and the public bodies, whether it's a law or if it's an agreement between themselves, as well as non-government third parties? Think about it. Why would CPP disability need to share your information with a third party to administer acts or laws, especially if these disclosures will never result in administrative decisions? I'm disabled. How am I supposed to know what this means or how it will affect me? If your insurer is going to stop paying you and close your claim to force you to comply and give consent, and then once they have your consent, they're just going to share your personal and medical information amongst themselves, then why are there so many different medical forms that your doctor has to complete and charge separate fees for? Why isn't there just one medical form for your doctor to complete and then one fee? That would eliminate the need for consent of sharing of information. It would save you money and it would save your doctor time. You never know, that might even help the shortage of doctors situation. If you like my content, please support my channel by clicking the like button and subscribing to my channel. Please help me get this information out there. Please share it with your friends and family. Thanks for watching.